All right, folks, we welcome you to the Steve Malzberg Show, and we have breaking news. The Israeli government, the coalition government of President, or should I say Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, is in shambles and is threatened. And we will kick off the show in just about a minute with Danon, Likud party member of the Knesset, former Deputy Minister of Defense for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu agreed to this ceasefire yesterday unilaterally. He did not take the ceasefire before his cabinet for a vote. The cabinet would have rejected this ceasefire. The Israeli public is outraged. The poll numbers for Benjamin Netanyahu are dropping, and many members of the Israeli government and cabinet are outraged as well. So we'll talk to Danon and find out just what that means for the future of this government, what it means for the future of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and what it means for the future of the region. Was the job completed? What would possess Benjamin Netanyahu to unilaterally agree to this ceasefire and have the cabinet and the public find out basically by watching CNN and finding out that an agreement had been reached? What's that all about? Why did that happen? And as you're going to see in a second here, you got Hamas claiming victory. Was it victory for Hamas in a sense? We'll put that question to Danon as well. And then next up after that will be the Malzberg panel. But this is a very breaking story. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll go right to the source with Danon. But first, let's watch some celebration by Hamas.
Why is it that today Hamas accepted the very same Egyptian framework that it rejected a month ago? Ultimately, so much bloodshed could have been avoided.
But Hamas spokesman Sami Abu Suri calls the ceasefire a victory.
We are here today to announce Gaza's victory. We are here today to declare that we have won over this power, the destructive Israeli power. We won first and foremost thanks to God Almighty. Second, thanks to the resilience of our people.
I got to tell you, folks, we're joined now by Danon, Likud party member of the Knesset, former Deputy Minister of Defense for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, whose poll numbers are tanking. And not only that, Danny, welcome to the show. The acceptance of this ceasefire by Netanyahu came without approval by the cabinet. And now the coalition government is in danger. What the heck is going on here? Why on earth would Benjamin Netanyahu unilaterally accept this ceasefire when a majority of the cabinet members would have voted no?
Steve, we are disappointed. We said it for the last few weeks. You fight with the Hamas. You don't negotiate with the Hamas. You don't negotiate with a terrorist organization. And I think what we saw from the beginning, that Prime Minister Netanyahu tried to avoid the confrontation, but unfortunately we were dragged into it, and I think we made a mistake. We should have fight against the Hamas. We have the ability and the strength to win the war against the Hamas. Prime Minister Netanyahu decided not to do it this time, but it will happen. Maybe in 6 months, a year. You cannot leave them there because they will continue to dig the tunnel and to produce more missiles. I think it was a mistake. I think we should have finished the job. Mission is not completed, unfortunately.
Well, let me ask you this. First of all, when you say we were dragged into it, I don't know if you mean that Israel was dragged into this ceasefire by Netanyahu, or that Netanyahu was dragged into this by outside influences. Do you believe that the United States pressure forced the hand in any way of Benjamin Netanyahu?
First of all, we cannot ignore the pressure. We saw the pressure coming from President Obama and Secretary Kerry. I don't know if that was the only issue, and I think Prime Minister Netanyahu should have said to the American president, the same way you did the right thing fighting Al-Qaeda, fighting Osama bin Laden, I should do the same with the Hamas. Because when we see what's happening today with ISIS, we cannot finish this conflict without a clear message that we win the fight. I think today we are in a problem. The deterrence of Israel is not the same like it was 50 days ago, and we will have to wait for the next round and show our strength.
Do you what are going to be the immediate political ramifications here, Danny, when it comes to the coalition government and the future of the prime ministership, if you will, of Benjamin Netanyahu?
I told Prime Minister Netanyahu very clearly that he needs to come back to his base, come back to the Likud, to the national camp values. We have to be strong against our enemies. I think we will continue to go with Minister Livni, and Secretary Kerry's ideas about building a new Middle East here in the region with Abu Mazen and Hamas government. We will not be able to endorse it, but I hope that he will come back to his base.
All right, but what about the future of the coalition government? There are reports that it's a very fragile government. I don't have to tell you that that very makeup could be threatened because of this agreement. Do you agree?
I agree, but you have to take into consideration still that now we are off session until after the Jewish holidays, which is the end of October. So I don't think the government will have to face a non-confidence vote until 2 months from now. And 2 months is a long time here in the Middle East. We have to wait and see what will happen within a month with the negotiation. And when we will come back to the Knesset end of October, then we will have to decide about the future of this government.
So it is possible when the government reconvenes that there could be a no-confidence vote. That is a possibility.
Absolutely, absolutely. And today when you hear the people in Israel, they are disappointed from left to right. They said to the Prime Minister, we gave you the credit to do the right thing, and unfortunately, you didn't deliver.
Well, let me ask you about this ceasefire agreement. I mean, when I heard that it opens the borders, it allows supplies in, concrete. Here we go again, and the fishing rights are extended now. I think 6-7 miles off the coast. I scratched my head, and then I see them celebrating, of course, the propaganda machine of Hamas declaring victory. And I'm sitting there saying, I don't understand how the cabinet could have approved this. And of course, now I find out, along with everybody else, that they did not. Do you know why? Well, why do you think that, and you know him very well, why would he not have taken this to the cabinet? Could he not deal with the rejection of it, or what?
Well, I think he knew that the cabinet wouldn't have approved it. He couldn't convince the minister of the cabinet. He couldn't convince the minister of the government, and he cannot convince the people of Israel. As we speak, the Prime Minister just concluded another press conference where he stated that we won and we got everything accomplished. But the people in Israel do not buy it, because we saw that the Hamas was the one who actually dictating when there will be a ceasefire, what will be the result. And today, when we know that they are still in power, they will continue to dig tunnels. The cement that they will get, they will use to build more tunnels.
Right.
And the funds that they will get, they will put into infrastructure of building more missiles.
All right, well, then let me ask you, Danny. I mean, in a sick, perverted, twisted, unfortunate way, although they were devastated and Gaza was devastated, the infrastructure, and they lost lots of fighters and they lost lots of leadership, but in a sick, twisted, perverted, sick way, I already said sick. When Hamas stands there and says, we won, do they have some kind of point?
I don't think you can say they won, but I think when we initiate a fight, and we started after 50 days, 70 people who paid the heavy price and lost their lives, the result should have been different. They should have come and begged for a ceasefire. They should have taken a white flag and waved it all over Gaza. When that didn't happen, and today we are arguing whether they won or we won, I think it's a problem for us. You cannot go into a fight, and when the minute you decide to fight and not make sure that you are winning, because there are other forces, Hezbollah, ISIS, that's watching us. And they need to know that they should not mess with Israel, because when we decide to fight, we know how to win.
I mean, and this ceasefire comes right after the death of a child, and you know, and now maybe, I don't know, the New Jersey student who was went missing on the hike. I don't know if we know anything about that. Also, the admission by Hamas that yes, we kidnapped those 3 Israeli teenagers. It just seems like it's a bizarre bit of timing that Netanyahu would acquiesce with Hamas basically bragging about all these things.
No, only yesterday, Steve, I went to pay respect to the family of this poor child that passed away at the age of 4 years old, playing in the background in a tent. And the grandmother came to me and she told me, I lost my house a few years ago from a rocket coming from Gaza. I lost my grandson, but I want you to tell me that that's it. And unfortunately, I cannot tell her that that's it. We know that we haven't finished the job. We know that we have to come back with a stronger conviction and finish the job. Make sure that Hamas has no military capability against Israel. That's the only way we can tell the people in Israel, you are safe.
And that is not the case right now.
Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. And I'm saying as a senior member of the Prime Minister's coalition, I think today we haven't completed the mission, and we will have to find the time to complete it.
Listen, Danny, thank you so much. We had some technical problems early on, and thank you for bearing with us, and great to talk to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
And a happy, healthy, safe New Year for you and the people of Israel.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care. Danny Danon, ladies and gentlemen, Likud Party member of the Knesset and former Deputy Minister of Defense for Benjamin Netanyahu. I was shocked. I think I've made that perfectly clear. I don't get this. I don't know where the pressure came from. Could it have come from Obama? Could there have been threats? We've heard about that in the past. I don't know. But what would possess Benjamin Netanyahu to do this? All right, folks, next up, the Malzberg panel. You know it, you love it, you're going to get it. Don't go away.